With the 15th pick and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
How big of a burden is not having a second-round pick?
I think that's going to be a burden. I think it is just because of where that second-round pick was too. And that's the hard part. You wish you had all your picks. You wish you can get all your picks back. But at the end of the day, we have to react to what we have right now.
Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sistren. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Luke. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. Dressed in all black like the Omen, man. These rumors are getting real spooky like shit you see in a movie, man. Now, let me say this and reiterate it before I say anything else. My stance has not waffled nor wavered. It remains the same as it always has. And let me repeat it again for you before I say anything that I'm about to say. The Redskins, in my opinion, are still going to select Chase Young number 2 overall when we get to day number 1 of the 2020 NFL Draft. Okay? Let me get that out of the way. However, it is impossible to ignore all of the noise that is out there, and there are several different moving pieces and parts to how the Redskins approach number 2 overall. You're hearing reports from all over the place. I just choose to deflect them and swat them away like flies. However, you can take this information that you get from me and everyone else. I told you it's lying season, so choose to believe what you want very carefully. However, I'm just going to give you a scenario and you can interpret it and take it for what it's worth and use it however you choose to. All right. For me, I'm just going to throw this scenario out there because it's very plausible. And the way you heard Ron Rivera respond to the comment and the audio that you heard coming into the show was that from the Redskins Talk podcast with J.P. Finley, Mitch Tisler interviewing head coach Ron Rivera. The first voice you heard was that of J.P. Finley, and he simply asked the question, how much of a burden is it to not have a second-round pick? To which Ron Rivera responded, it's a pretty damn big burden, and especially where that pick was going to be. We're going to be essentially at the top of the second round, which means we were pretty much picking in the first round. It was an extension of the first-round pick. So, yeah, that one stings to not have that pick. As a matter of fact, I would like to have all of our damn picks. Okay, sounds about right. So he's telling you right there, man, we sure would love to have that second round pick. We could sure do some damage with that thing. And I told you the second round is the new first round. You got to hit in the second round. The Redskins have missed in the second round for ages. So you got to hit in the second round, man. And to not have that second round pick, I think Ron Rivera and the staff, they're feeling the weight of not having that second round pick. And so it got me to thinking after listening to that podcast episode and listening to a lot of the noise out there and kind of listening to Ron Rivera's response in particular, it got me to thinking and got my gears to turning in my head. There could be a scenario out there that could really be devastating to Redskins fans like myself who want the Redskins to select Chase Young number 2 overall. And there's really 3 steps in this scenario that could take place. And they're like dominoes. And once that first domino falls, we really don't know what's going to happen other than there's going to be some fallout from that first domino. And if that second domino topples over, that third domino could be the one that breaks all of our backs if you are in the camp of wanting Chase Young number 2 overall. So I came up with this theory. It's called the terrifying Trent Williams domino effect, okay? Now, I look at this situation, and it's a potential terrifying Trent Williams domino effect because it may or may not happen. But it's 3 steps. The first domino is the Redskins ultimately trade Trent Williams. So I talked about this on the last episode that, look, man, at this point, I'm becoming really tired. So, sort of like how I felt at the end of the Kirk Cousins saga. Like, I was just exhausted. And at that point, I was just done with the whole situation. All right, just go already. I'm ready to move on. And what happens, happens. I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm not quite at that point yet, but I'm getting there to the point now where I'm like, I just want resolution. If you're going to be here, be here. If you're not, cool. Let's just figure out what the next step is, because it's a pretty damn big position. And if Trent were to be traded, and that's the first domino, is Trent Williams is traded, now you've opened up a massive hole on this roster. Now, you could argue and say, look, we didn't have Trent last year, so we'll make ends meet. But we had Donald Penn. I can't predict the future, but you can't assume Donald Penn is just going to show up if the Redskins were to have to go down that road again and perform at a high level again. And furthermore, I don't think that's the road the Redskins want to go down. Anyway, if you don't have a left tackle, things could get really ugly for you really quick, especially with a young quarterback. So that would become priority number one. Above tight end, above safety, corner, wide receiver, whatever you think is a major need. No Trent Williams means no left tackle. No left tackle means top of the grocery list. All right. So if you trade Trent Williams, and let's say you only get a 3 for him, and I think more realistically than not, you get a 2 for Trent Williams. But let's just say because of his demands on a contract, and because he hasn't played football in damn near 2 years, and because he's got an injury history, and because more than anything else, he's going to be 32 years old in July, you're like, nah, I'm not giving you a second round pick for Trent Williams. I'll give you a third. And you're like, look, I'm pretty desperate. I don't think he's going to play for us this year. All right, give me the 3. All right, so you take the third round pick for Trent Williams. Well, you still don't have a second. And what if Domino 2 happens now because you don't have a second round pick and you don't have a left tackle? What if you get antsy and Domino 2 topples over because Domino 1 toppled over? And Domino 2 is that the Redskins panic at number 2 because there is no left tackle. And they're kind of figuring out that if we don't take one in the first round now, we're not going to get one in the third round, not one that we feel like could come in and start for us. So the Redskins then trade back with the Miami Dolphins at 5, pick up multiple first-round picks in this year's draft, and some other draft capital down the road. But the ones you really care about are the ones this year. And so the Redskins would move back to 5. The Redskins would also pick up the 18th pick in the draft, and then some other draft capital. Let's just go with that. Let's say the Redskins don't get all 3 of the Dolphins' first-round picks, but rather the 5 and the 18. And then they get a first-round pick in next year's draft and, a 5th round and a 3rd rounder somewhere down the road. And let's say that the Redskins decide then, okay, we got multiple needs, so we'll take Jeff Okudah at number 5. And I don't know if he'll be there or not. All right? I don't know if he'll be there or not. But let's say they go Jeff Okudah at number 5. And then they decide to get the tackle at number 18. All right, let's say for in all intents and purposes, it's Andrew Thomas at 18, because that's a realistic possibility that he'll still be on the board by then. I told you a long time ago, he's not a top 10 pick. I doubled down on it a couple of weeks ago. And I'm telling you right now, he's not a top 10 pick. So let's say you get Andrew Thomas at 18. You get Jeff Okudah at 5. You didn't get Chase Young. And Jeff Okudah might actually be really good. And Andrew Thomas might be really good. But you might have missed out on a Hall of Fame football player. That's a realistic possibility that Ron Rivera and his staff look at the needs on his team and say, look, we need to fill tight end, we need to fill corner, we need to fill tackle, and we can't do it with just number 2. And we don't have a second round pick. And in order to fill those voids, We got to get out of 2, and we got to trade back, and we got to pick up picks, and we got to find a way to fill as many of these holes as possible, including left tackle. Which leads us to the third domino falling, and I already told you what it was, but I'll just reiterate it once more because it's really scary to think about. Because of the panic of domino number 2 falling, the Redskins don't draft Chase Young. And there you have it. The potentially terrifying Trent Williams domino effect. That Trent Williams not being on the roster and potentially being traded could lead to the Redskins panicking and trading out of number 2, thus giving up our opportunity to get Chase Young because of the threat of not having a left tackle and wanting to fill a number of different positions, but more so than anything else, really wanting to get a tackle. It could happen. I surmise that it will not happen, but it's just a little bit of food for thought. You do the dishes, okay? Thinking about things like that too long can make you a little antsy. I will admit. It's part of the reason I did this video. I got a little antsy. Felt like I needed to share this with the congregation. I'm telling you, I'm still steadfast that the Redskins will draft Chase Young at number 2. But don't discount a situation like that, especially if Trent gets traded and Dunny gets traded. Now you're looking at a situation where you have nothing at corner. Now, again, free agency could change everything, which is why you don't want to overreact to anything right now. Because the Redskins could go out on the free agent market, get themselves a quality left tackle. And when I say quality, enough to start, okay? Not a guy that you expect to come in here, pay big dollars to, and expect to be the next big thing, because generally those guys aren't available on the free agent market. They're not. If you got something worth having, you usually hold on to it. Jack Conklin is about to break the bank, but the Redskins aren't in the market for a right tackle. We need a left tackle. So generally, left tackles aren't walking the streets this time of the year because teams don't allow franchise left tackles to go anywhere, generally speaking. So, as I just mentioned, the Redskins could do something at tackle. They could get a guy at corner. They're going to be after James Bradbury. Doesn't mean he's going to choose the Redskins. You know, or the Redskins could go in a different direction, like a Bashaud Breeland, who will probably be a lot cheaper than the reported $15 million price tag per annual salary that James Bradbury is looking for. Maybe the Redskins will be willing to pay him. We will see. But I thought I'd just drop that gem on your melon. Take it for what it's worth. I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section about the potential terrifying Trent Williams domino effect. I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. Wednesday night, 8:30 p. We will meet and we'll talk about everything under the sun. If anything else comes up before then, you'll see my face all up in your space. But until then, Wednesday night, we will reconvene for the Redskins Report live. Until then, you guys, take it easy. Continue to support, like this video, subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. And I'll see you guys then. Have a good one. Louie T.